Okay, so we're on. So welcome once again, Morgan. It's been a while, but we haven't had new products for a while. So yeah, I've got some new products from Coyne Healthcare and quite excited to learn more about them for me, but then to share, of course, that information with all the clients and customers. So this morning, I'll hand it over to you. We're going to speak about glutathione and omega 3s, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
omega-3,
okay. Okay.
Purest.
So the stage is yours. And once again, really appreciate you doing this.
No, thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me, and thanks for being a Coyne supporter. We love to share the love, and we love to give people really quality products, and that's why we've really managed, especially during COVID-19. I was explaining to someone the other day, we've had a real disruption on getting products into the country,
Yeah.
because you can imagine when you're trying to bring a substance in from a second generation family business from Japan. The stuff isn't produced like honey, or well, honey is a silly example because honey is sacred. It's not produced like your normal multivitamins or a lot of
Yeah.
your oils and things like that. So when there's a disruption, it takes us a considerable amount of time to get the supply chain back where it needs to be. And glutathione, unfortunately, was one of those products that we just ran out of stock on. I think it's such a superior antioxidant. I mean, when people think about vitamin C and we talk about COVID, for instance, I will 9 out of 10 always go back to glutathione, just because it is absolutely phenomenal for eradicating viruses. That's what it does. I mean, if you think about your T cells, your white blood cells, your defense system, their job is to go search and prod around the body to look for foreign invaders. It's incredible for your adaptive immune system. So if we look at innate immune system, that's generally just the first line warriors. They don't care who you are, what you are. Their job is just to get you out. And then the adaptive immune system is generally things that lie dormant and generally viruses that creep their way in and only want to stick their head out maybe a couple of days later. And glutathione is incredible. And our research has actually come to state that they can actually predict someone's lifespan with the amount of glutathione levels in their bodies.
Yeah.
And that's crazy, right? and what research is suggesting is that it's almost like inflammation. I always say the basis of all disease has got to do with oxidative stress and high amounts of inflammation. So taking things like curcumin and glutathione, you're going to generally be unstoppable, because you're going to be helping the oxidative stress. You're going to be helping this free radical damage that's creating this rust. And then you're going to be lowering all this cytokine and inflammatory warfare. But glutathione up till now has actually really been a supplement that actually hasn't really gained traction. It's been around for donkey's years, but if you think about it, it's 3 amino acids. So it's pretty much glutamine, glutamic acid, cysteine, and glycine. And it's a tripeptide. So a lot of people that have used glutathione have said it's helped a little bit with with training. It's helped my nitrogen. I know when I use our glutathione, I hold on to muscle. I feel powerful. I'm a lot more oxygenated throughout my workouts. I can run a lot harder, especially a lot longer. And if you're doing intermittent fasting, because you take glutathione on an empty stomach, if you are doing an 18 hour fast and you take glutathione, man, oh man, you're going to be running over mountains. You're going to be a freaking machine. Yeah, you're going to be a machine.
Let me stop you there for a moment, because I play with fasting a bit. So would you take it, you have a 6-hour window to eat.
Yeah.
That's the way I like to do it. I don't do it all the time, but when I am. So where would you take it in that?
So when you're just about to break your fast during that 6 window, take a capsule or 2 on an empty stomach. And then you can wait maybe half an hour and then get down a bit of raw veg, get down a bit of fruit, and then go towards the protein and go towards the carbohydrate field. But because when you're in a fasted state, it obviously creates autophagy, but you've got this pathway called an mTOR pathway, which is responsible for a lot of building protein and really getting protein synthesis and amino acids. But glutathione, if you think about, there's about 20 amino acids out of the amino acid family. But glutathione, those 3 specifically, are incredibly important because they're produced naturally in the liver.
Okay.
And up till now, a lot of the glutathione that I've come across they're in their most simplest form that the gut breaks it down. I mean, the stomach loves to break down amino acids. So the time that the stomach's broken this tripeptide into its single entities, it doesn't really reach the cell. I mean, you're left with very little glutathione.
Okay.
So what makes the glutathione we do from Coyne Healthcare differently is that we've partnered with a phenomenal company in Japan that have actually got a patented process on fermenting these amino acids. So they're a lot more tolerable in the gut and they reach the cell a lot more effectively. And then we've put them into liposome. So you're obviously aware of our liposome technology. It's taking unstable molecules and really getting them into the cell. And glutathione, where it needs to actually get into, it needs to get into the cell. It needs to get into the mitochondria because that's where a lot of the glutathione is stored in the longevity of the cell.
Okay.
Now, they were saying about 90%, I would probably even recommend more, that people with chronic disease, and that's cancer, Alzheimer's, rheumatoid arthritis, anyone with a chronic autoimmune disease will probably most likely be glutathione deficient.
Yeah.
And it's through and through again. Kids that are autistic are glutathione deficient, along with things like folate and certain B vitamins and omegas. But glutathione is incredibly important for us to live healthy lives.
Yeah.
Because it helps facilitate all the toxins that we build up. I mean, our bodies are pretty much still back 50 years ago and haven't really caught up with our modern day sedentary lifestyles. And things like glutathione are needed now more than ever because we've got such an oxidative stress problem. I mean, our air is getting worse. We've got PCB plastics in our water. Our food is contaminatedly grown. And you won't be able to get this gunk out your liver properly if you're not using things like glutathione. And especially for the guys that are smokers, drinkers, high amounts of stress. And we talk about low-grade inflammation. And low-grade inflammation is you and I could be sitting here completely normal and we've got this constant subconscious fight or flight response going on. And we call it low-grade inflammation because you don't really know it's not really present enough for you to go, okay, my heart rate's going up, my eyes are diluted, I'm ready to run. It's this very subtle fight or flight response. And what it does is it's like turning a tap and it trickles small amounts of cortisol and small amounts of adrenaline, and those hormones on a cellular level are actually very acidic. So taking things like glutathione really puts the body also into an alkaline state when you've got this low grade inflammation, and we've all got low grade inflammation. People don't realize it. I mean, we're so used to this fight or flight response, and especially now during COVID-19, honestly, I urge everyone to try glutathione, even if you can't afford it, because it is quite a costly supplement, even though ours is incredibly cost effective compared to its exact counterpart sold, which is double the price. I mean, if you go price
there, I've had one previously that was €90, and it's gone up to well over €100, the same brand, and yours is the exact same for, I think I'm retailing it for €54 or something like that.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Cetria is expensive stuff. Yeah.
And I just say this as well as a compliment. This is to everybody out there. These guys, Coyne Healthcare, when we started working with them in Ireland, we had some supplements that were €35. And when we ordered extra stock that they seen we were getting the sales going, Coyne Healthcare brought those supplements from 35 down to 30, just under 30, and some even to 28.50. This is the type of company you're dealing with. I've never seen that happen before, so well done on that.
Thanks.
Sorry for interfering.
No, thanks, Mark. I mean, we really do it. It honestly, it makes me want to do backflips when I go into a store and I can help someone that actually needs glutathione, but that, and they're just looking at the price going, they saw Cetria for £100. I mean, that's how much Cetria costs in the UK. There's one here that is about, the cheapest one I found on a 60 capsules is about £80. And our whole company ethos was to help people generally first with cancer, but just generally give people the best quality products they can purchase out of a health store really without breaking the bank. And glutathione out of our entire range is probably one of our more expensive products, just because glutathione, cetria, and how it's made is just, it's quite costly. But I would recommend everyone to at least try glutathione for a month. And I always say glutathione almost lets the cells go on holiday for a bit. It's just almost like saying, hey guys, we know you've worked your ass off this year. Here's a vacation. Go enjoy yourselves and come call us when you're back, Yeah. And that's really what it does. It is a powerful antioxidant. It's incredibly good for skin. I mean, if you look at glutathione sold in places like Korea and China, they generally use glutathione for whitening of the skin or clearing up the skin. And if you look at places like South Korea, which is the mecca for anti-aging clinics, I mean, I was in South Korea 2 years ago, and I just couldn't believe how much anti-aging clinics and just their type of technology and the type of forefront of anti-aging, which what they're using. But more than anti-aging, it is such a phenomenal immune booster. It's to me, it's far more superior than vitamin C. I mean, vitamin C has its place, don't get me wrong. But just as an antioxidant, and like you spoke last time, Mark, about the liver being the largest organ in the body and the work that it has to do. If we don't put back what the liver makes naturally, it's a lot like CoQ10. And I mean, a lot of people don't even realize after the age of 40, you've got mitochondrial dysfunction. That's period. It's a lot like magnesium. We don't get CoQ10 anymore. If you don't take glutathione back into your liver, you're going to start noticing you're going to have slowly fatigue. Your liver is going to not operate at the way that it needs to. And you'll only know when your liver is starting to pack up when it's about 2% from packing up. They say you can run on a 90% damaged liver and you won't even have many symptoms of it.
Yeah.
So it's really much the silent killer. And I mean, it's an organ that we really need to look after. It's got a 3-path detoxification process. And a lot of us don't have those phases working correctly because of modern lifestyle and all this gunk we're putting in, and alcohol and medication. But I always recommend people that if you're a drinker, or you're someone that smokes, or you're someone that needs to stay on chronic medication and you can't come off, that's okay. But then you need to supplement with things like glutathione or milk thistle, just to really help your body facilitate all these carcinogenic heavy metals and really get it facilitated out the body. Else it's just going to sit there and it's going to build up, and you're going to have a really tough time getting rid of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's how powerful it is.
Man, I preach the stuff. A lot of people are skeptical about oral glutathione. They say that it doesn't work, and I mean, I completely agree. IV vitamin intravenous is great. I mean, IV vitamin C, IV glutathione, IV magnesium is amazing. But first of all, it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's very hard to access, and it's a little bit invasive. I mean, I completely agree with it though. But I mean, who in this day and age, especially during a pandemic, can go out and go get intravenously, vitamin drips? So having a glutathione in a liposomal format, you can take 1 to 2 a day. I mean, man, it's gonna restore muscle. It's anti-aging. It's immune boosting, and it also knows how to kick viruses completely out the body as well. Yeah.
So that's apart from all the illness and stuff that you've just covered, because I know there's a lot of fitness people connected to my page, and I'm going to post this on. When is a good time to use it if you're going to the gym? If you just think, you have young people who don't think ill health, they're thinking muscle, and it will help in that aspect as well. And certainly,
I would use a capsule pre-gym, and I'd use a capsule post-gym.
Yeah.
And if you really want to up it, I would even use a capsule before bedtime. Obviously, when your food's digested, it's got its best response when we've got as little as possible as any food in the digestive tract, just because it doesn't get inhibited by any of the digestion processes that goes along with it. You really want that amino acid to get into the bloodstream as effectively as possible. But I can tell you now, anyone that's using expensive protein shakes or pre-workout drinks or any type of, I love creatine. Creatine's amazing. It's so good for the brain. I recommend anyone to go on creatine and glutamine. But you don't need to take these expensive protein shakes if you're using things like glutathione.
Okay.
Yeah. Honestly, because if you think about whey protein and these things, they generally break down to their building blocks, which are amino acids. So glutathione essentially is giving you the fully charged battery and saying, hey, let's bypass the breakdown process. Let's stick it right in there and get it to work. Yeah.
Good. I'll try that myself, going to the gym.
Please do, Mark. No, it's powerful stuff. My wife loves it. She's had so my wife she was younger and was on the contraceptive pill, and it really, really messed up her hormones for many, many years. It's taken us a long time, and we're still working through a battle of trying to restable her hormones. That contraceptive medication, I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole, but we've tried sulforaphane. I mean, she became a vegetarian, for 10 years because of it, just trying to correct her hormones. And I can tell you now, the one supplement that has helped her the most with facilitating her hormones has been this glutathione. Her skin has cleared up tremendously. Her sleep's a lot better. She's a lot less bloated. Her liver's not packing up. I mean, Chinese medicine say if you're waking up at 3 a.m. every morning, your liver's knocking on the door, right? So she's had phenomenal response. So I also urge women that have got, menopausal women or women that are hormonal to really look at something like glutathione as well, because it really does assist with hormonal imbalances.
Great. That's great. Great. Yeah. Brilliant.
Cool.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, Mark.
The omegas, you can tell me if this is what to expect. My daughter Lindsay started taking it last week. And she said to me after 3 days, now she's been taking another one from a company that I always think are good, and Garden of Life. Because she's pregnant, she's been taking it. And then she said to me after 3 days on Coyne Healthcare, she said, I don't know if I'm imagining it, but it's like my skin feels like I've moisturized it. Is that something that can happen? Yeah.
Mark, when we launched this Omega, so omega-3 fish oil is it's like vitamin C. There is just so many of omega-3 supplements out there. And it's a pity we couldn't get it in the UK just because of the agricultural system around, or the veterinarian system around South Africa and England didn't see eye to eye. I don't even know the whole story, but we unfortunately couldn't get it in England. But when we launched it in South Africa, it was probably the quickest response product that we launched at the time, besides to curcumin that generally everyone feels with an immediate effect. That omega-3 was one of the fastest feedback products we've ever launched. And it's because people were feeling the effects almost within 3 to 4 days, 5 days. And that's because it's proper omega. I keep saying omega-3 is one of the most counterfeited supplements in the world. Yeah. It's like olive oil. It's like honey. People don't understand how how they're made. You get long chain fatty acids. A lot of the time they've been heated and cooled and prepared in a way that it doesn't correspond with nature. It doesn't correspond with the fish. It doesn't correspond with the way that we should eat fish or how our ancestors ate fish. And a lot of the oils these days are inferior. I mean, they're all in a format that doesn't have anything to do with fish. It's got to do with just a whole bunch of omegas. Well, not omegas. It's got to do with long chain fatty acids that have been produced in a way that have got EPA and DHA, but our bodies don't respond to it because it's not in a format that is pure. So it took us long and hard. We found a company in Alaska, a family-run business in Alaska, and they run a phenomenal business. They are completely sustainable. The trawlers go out and catch Canadian pollock, which is a very small fish. Now, the thing about small fish is that they generally don't carry as much, nothing. They're not supposed to if they're sustainably caught, but they carry a lot less heavy metals because they're not eating other fish. The bigger fish generally they're eating other fish because of their diet, the way that they live. They generally carry a lot more of this sort of carcinogenic heavy metal. And the company that we use in Alaska use a wild Canadian pollock. And so first of all, the fish is sustainably caught, so it gets to roam free, eat off a completely natural diet. And I mean, Alaskan salmon, go on Google and you'll go find some really disturbing stuff on salmon oil. It's terrible, man. The way that salmon is farmed, it's absolutely atrocious. It's almost exactly how an inhumane chicken farm would be, or a dairy farm. There's no difference between the two. Salmon farm is disgusting. And the great thing about this family in Alaska, Mark, is that they send their trawlers out when they've reached their quota for the day. They close up the trawler, whatever byproduct that they catch. So, this is what happens in the trawlers. They catch various other fishes and other species, and they end up leaving it on the boat and obviously chugging it all through. These guys put all the byproduct back in the ocean. They catch a certain amount of quota, and they're actually bringing up the sustainability and the growth span and the lifespan of this endangered pollock. So first of all, you've got a really clean fish, and then the way that it's produced. So a lot of the time when I tell people when they're buying omega-3s is to turn the bottle around and see if it says triglyceride.
Okay.
And a triglyceride fish oil means that it's been cold pressed and then it's been bottled and encapsulated. That's it, the way that nature intended, if it's in a triglyceride format. If it's not in a triglyceride format, which a lot of the oils are in, they will be in a format called ethyl ester. And now an ester form of oil is not how nature intended. It is a long chain fatty acid, but it has been heated and cooled and prepared in a way to make it more bioavailable. But you're really now breaking down the natural constituents of what fish oil would be. And I don't know if you've ever drunk bad fish oil, but you'll generally burp it up and you'll taste, you'll taste this very fishy taste. It's horrible. You're not supposed to burp up fish oil. And in my mind, it's almost the guts way of saying, what the hell did you just put inside me? Rancid fish. And that's generally what it is. So I always tell people that are buying a fish oil is to make sure that it is in its triglyceride form. If it says TG at the back, and also make sure that the fish that they're ingesting, fish oil is something that people should take every day. And you can imagine if you're drinking a very dirty fish, a very sort of unsustainably caught fish, you're generally going to be putting this gunk in your body every single day, and it's going to have a side effect. I completely believe that. So we get our fish oil third party tested, and they're actually tested for impurities. It's called a TOTOX score. Now, a lot of companies, when they get asked about their TOTOX score, they never ever disclose the information, and this is the problem. And the TOTOX score measures total oxidization and total rancicity. So generally, when these guys catch fish oil and they produce it, they put it in big drums or however they're facilitating this stuff. And you can imagine, if an oil is getting oxidized, it's going to lose a lot of its EPA and its DHA values. It's going to lose a lot of its properties. So a good TOTOX score would be deemed, I think, 17. And the Purest Omega is a 5. So it's got the lowest TOTOX score out of any omega-3 that we've ever come across. And we're very proud about it because we tell people our oil has been tested. Look at the TOTOX score, if you want to see third-party testing. Where a lot of companies, whenever I ask about the TOTOX score, they go, TOTOX what? And that's very worrying. So I always tell people when you're buying omega, and it's not rocket science, make sure that it's in a triglyceride form. Make sure that ask the shop floor person that's selling you the product, what is the TOTOX score on this fish oil? Because if it's too high, you're going to be putting this rancid shit in your body, and it's going to create havoc.
Yeah, it's actually harmful, isn't it, when it's rancid?
Mark, it is so harmful. Can you imagine now an omega-3 is something that people should take like magnesium. It should be taken daily. It's not like curcumin that you can take every now and then, or green tea that you can take, month on, month off. Omega should be taken every single day, 365 days a year. Now, with the supplement you're taking with this due diligence, if you're taking something that is rancid, it's going to have a complete adverse effect. So if you've got someone that's got an autoimmune condition, if you've got an autistic child or someone that's got cancer, and you're putting in this rancid oil, you're not going to be doing anything good for your body, man. You're going to be hindering the immune system. It's going to be trying to work out all this crap. And it's an oil. The body's got a hard time to facilitate oil out of it, And it's almost like putting, you're driving a diesel car and you go putting in, crappy petrol or something like in there. It's gonna drive, but eventually that engine's gonna pack up, man. And I always urge people to ask the shop floor salesperson that's selling you this stuff, what is the TOTOX score on this oil? And if they can't tell you, phone the supplier. Make sure the fish is sustainably caught, and make sure that it's in a triglyceride form. And if you can tick all three of those boxes, the omega-3 is going to make your skin soft. It's going to make your cognition a lot better. It's going to make your immune system a lot better. And especially women that are trying to fall pregnant, they need high DHA, because that's the development of baby's brain, of a baby's small brain. Because a lot of the time it is got to do with this, that's why they generally say pregnant women to eat fatty fish, sardines, things like that, or fish roe, which is usually the eggs of the fish. If you think about Rhonda Patrick, Mark, I heard a story about when she was pregnant, trying to get down all this fish roe and all this raw salmon eggs. And man, that's the best stuff to get it down if you can stomach it.
A special salmon egg from
yeah.
I speak about it because my daughter was pregnant at the same time and we were following her regime.
Oh, cool, man. Amazing. But you know what they say? It's usually got to do with the fish's diet. So a lot of the time it's what the fish eats and gets stored in the fish's tissue.
That makes sense.
That makes, it's not what we eat. It's not, it's what our food eats. It's not what we eat. It's what our food eats. I mean, I saw a crazy article in the States that a truck overturned and it was filled up with candy. I think it was Skittles or something, overturned Skittles all over the road. And that truck was en route to a pig farm. And they were feeding pig farms all the leftover sweets and shit. And what do you think's going into the pork? I mean, you got candy, fructose, and all this other crap going straight into the meat. And the same thing applies for fish. If you're going for a farmed salmon or anything that's farmed, high antibiotics, they're getting fed these pellets that have got no nutritious value whatsoever. That will systemically get into your body, and it's just non-nutrient filled at all. Yeah.
So, as you say that, I don't know if you've seen the new documentary on Netflix called Seaspiracy.
I haven't, no.
It's horrendous. It's pointing all that stuff out. And actually, after watching it, I made a decision. I'm just not going to support the fish industry doing that.
Yeah.
I suppose I know how important it is to have oily fish in your diet. So this is an excellent way. Okay, it's still coming from fish, but they're doing the best they can do to make that happen properly. And as you said, sustain the stock and everything. So this is obviously a good way to get the important stuff that we get from fish into your body without having to support that horrible industry. That movie is
it's scary. And there's no difference between a slaughterhouse. I mean, if you go to South Africa, Mark, and you go look at some of these chicken farms, I mean, I used to do a lot of driving for business between the Zulu coast, which is a very wild part of South Africa, to get into Durban. And you'd be driving on this road, you wouldn't see anything, and all of a sudden you'd see something that looked like a concentration camp almost, and you'd look over and it's just these chicken coops just lined up. And I mean, if you go in there, you'll probably have nightmares for a few months, man, because it's super inhumane. And there's no difference from the sea life. Our seas are getting absolutely stripped. I mean, they've just banned a type of sunblock in Hawaii because it's literally wrecked up half the reef. And now they're promoting people to put the sunblock on their face, and it's just created such havoc. But for now, if we can find clean fish, I mean, our ancestors ate a very high fish content, and that's why a lot of us have got an iodine deficiency, one of the most important minerals, along with magnesium and phosphorus and iron. But if we can find really good fish, it is incredibly important for our brains and also for our immune system. But I mean, I've urged companies to look at an algae, and an algae, an algae alternative. There are a few good ones, but the problem is you're not really going to get a high enough EPA and DHA because it needs to come from fish. But I really hope someone brings out maybe Coyne Healthcare. Well, who knows? But maybe we'll bring out a very strong algae based omega.
Yeah, because we can't deny there's a huge movement towards vegetarianism and veganism. Actually, my brother is even a vegan nutritionist now.
Wow.
It's just, and I mean, I still eat meat and fish, but I really try to source the best I can. But it's very understandable that why people aren't, looking at the industry as in the sense of buying food from it. I live in an area here in Spain, and you speak about chicken farms. We have the pig farms over here, and those poor animals don't see the light of day. They've built one 2 miles away from me here. I regularly pass it, and it's an unmanned pig farm, and that's what they're doing now. And the Spanish
automated.
government told the Chinese a couple of years ago, if they did a deal with them, they would supply all the pork that China needs, because there's so much land down here, and they do that pig farming. It's unbelievable. You see those animals going along the motorway in the backs of trucks, and I even getting goosebumps thinking about it. They're looking through those little gaps, and
Oh,
they're crying. They're actually crying in
yeah,
the trucks. You
yeah.
know, it's horrendous what's happening in the world with animals. You know,
Mark, it's so bad, and you can imagine that an animal's stress actually goes into the meat. And the reason why with a tuna, so when a tuna gets caught, they actually run this rod through the top of its head. So they'll actually cut a piece of fish off, and they'll run this stainless steel rod. And what that allows for the fish is it paralyzes the fish, so it can't release toxins when it gets, obviously, that it knows that it's caught, right? Because when a fish gets caught, its protective mechanism is to release all these type of toxin elements into the body, so the predator can't eat it, or can't live off its flesh. But humans have obviously worked around it now, and they've actually got this method of actually paralyzing the fish immediately after getting caught, so it can't actually do anything. Its central nervous system is now on a complete standby mode. And I mean, it's absolutely horrendous. And that's why I always think, we've got to try eat fish, but we've just got to try do it sustainably. Ask the questions: what is the Totox score on this oil? What fish are they using? And just ask the question. If you're going to be spending 20, 30, 40 euro, you are entitled to ask where this oil is from. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, that's take a bet. It's yeah. Look, what can we say?
Yeah. Yeah, we can go down a rabbit hole with.
Yeah, it didn't even.
Yeah.
That wasn't the purpose of the conversation, but
no. But
yeah.
But so a very good thing to note about the Purest Omega is that it's very good value for money, because a lot of the time, for you to get a quantifiable amount of therapeutic Omega, you would probably need about a 600-800 ratio, and that would probably be about 2 or 3 capsules of Omega. And I know with the Coyne Healthcare one, of one capsule, I think you're getting an 800 DHA and a 600 EPA of one capsule.
Okay.
So if you've got a bottle of 60, that will last you 2 months, right? So yeah. But I always recommend a high dose. I'm always a guy that, with Omega, try take 2 a day, and then just run it through.
Would you take 2 a day? Do you mean long term or just to begin?
I would probably take 2 a day, to begin, to begin with. It all depends what your diet's looking like. If you're eating a really poor diet, then I would say, stay on 2 capsules for as long as you can. But if you're generally someone that is getting in a bit of, fish, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, you're eating, a lot of your other good fats as well, you could definitely get away with 1 capsule.
Yeah. Okay.
And then it's very good value for money.
Yeah. They are quite reasonable. I think they're 32.50 or something, or 33 euro. It's
yeah. And it's, I just keep saying, look out for triglyceride oil. I'll send you Mark, when we're done with this, I'll send you a link on it's a very easy link on what normal ethyl ester store-bought oils look like, and what the difference between the triglycerides are. And it makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for that.
Cool.
So, again, thanks very much. I'm going to ask you, when I hit stop recording, can you hang on just for a moment? I want to ask you a couple of things about myself.
Cool.
So once again, thanks very much. And I know we've 2 more products that we're going to talk about very soon, but let's get this up first, and we'll get the others hopefully in the next week or so. Okay. Perfect. So well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, sir.
Well done. Glasses, Mark. Stop recording.